Okay, so there's always this talk about risk management and trading. When, of course, it's an important matter, guarding your account. You don't want to risk, too much money. You don't want to lose too much money. I mean, that's the whole point of risk management, is avoiding losses. But one area of risk that a lot of traders overlook, and it costs them an insane amount of money, it's probably the greatest risk to your account. Now, a lot of traders think that, it's your emotions. That's your biggest risk. Of course, you got, greed, fear, hope, and despair, that are always going to be, messing with you and, taking your profits, causing you to do things that, cause you to chase trades or hesitate or make other mistakes that cost you money. But really, your emotions are not your biggest liability. They're not. I mean, there's no point in denying them or trying to fight them. They're part of who you are. And so, dealing with emotions, it is an important matter. And we'll talk about that in a different video. But what we're talking about right now is an even greater risk. And it really is. This came to light for me several years ago when I first started helping traders. And, people were coming to me for help with, trading psychology. And I would work with them, when I first started doing this, we explored different schools of thought regarding psychology, because there are different schools of thought. You got Adlerian psychology, you got behavioral psychology, and talk therapy, Gestalt. There's all kinds of schools of thought within the psychology realm. But what I found when I started, really exploring all this stuff, and a couple of people, that were really struggling, and one guy in particular, well, actually one whole period, it's like hesitation was the theme. Everybody was fighting hesitation. Anyway, when we explored this, what I found really interesting was, exploring everything we could think of, that would be causing self-sabotage or, whatever, their emotions to flare up, all, mommy, daddy issues, all that kind of stuff. What I found was that, almost everybody that I'm talking to, they don't really have serious issues. They don't. Because if they did, they wouldn't be in a position to trade in the first place. I mean, if you think about it, if you were so bunched up about success or money or, your relationship with money or discipline or any of that kind of stuff, you wouldn't be in a position to trade. You just wouldn't be able to amass, 10, 20, 50, $100,000. It just wouldn't happen. Because your, whatever your issue, psychological issue you have would prevent you from doing that. So it's not some big psychological issue. You've been able to achieve success, and you're obviously okay, at least to a sufficient degree, with all these other things. And that's what was bugging me, is because it's like, we're exploring all this stuff, and it's like, man, it's just not there. Now, of course, do people, experience childhood trauma? Yes. I don't know anybody that's grown up, throughout childhood that never experienced trauma. It's just part of being a child. You're in a world you don't know how to deal with. Things happen and you're like, that's a bad shock. Okay, yes, everybody has childhood trauma to deal with, but most of us have dealt with it. So again, it's not like, there's something that your mommy said to you when you were 5 years old that's going to ruin you for trading. You can be successful elsewhere, but not trading, because mom said you're going to be a bad trader. You just won't make it as a trader, whatever it is. Anyway, yeah, I'm joking. But a lot of people think it's like, yeah, gosh, there's something wrong with me. I must have some deep psychological issue. That's not your biggest risk. What I found in working with everybody was, again, this is an above average group. You've achieved, an above average level of success, shown that they have above average, character traits and habits and work ethic and all that kind of stuff. So what was really cool was discovering that really it's like, no, you don't have psychological issues. You have lack of training issues. And that, really got brought to light because I got to thinking about it from the Peter Principle. And I mean, that was one of the biggest things in the Peter Principle, the book, where he was trying to figure out why people would rise to the level of incompetence within a company or, any hierarchical organization, and then remain at that level of incompetence. Well, it's because, people, they when they would get put into a job and they didn't have sufficient training and they didn't naturally have the skills for that job, that's where they would hit their level of incompetence. And for traders, trading is not an easy occupation. It's not as easy as it looks. It requires certain skill sets. And if you don't have the skill sets, if you didn't get properly trained for this job, it's going to be rough. And this is not an occupation that lends itself to just being figured out. So really, it's not psychological issues or your emotions that are your biggest liability. It's ignorance. Now, ignorance doesn't mean you're stupid. It just means that you haven't received sufficient and adequate training to do this job properly. I mean, think about it. You've probably in your life had some jobs that were pretty challenging, required, level of skill and understanding and know-how, and you were able to master them. And when you did, and you knew what you were doing, the job was fine. You went to work. Some days are better than others, but for the most part, yeah, you just go do your job, you go do your thing, and everything's fine. Well, trading really should be no different. And it is when you get the proper training and you're coming into it properly prepared. You have the skills so that you know what you're doing. You know that you know what you're doing. And then it's not this big emotional ride because, again, you have a handle on it. The biggest problem traders have, again, is the lack of training. That's your biggest risk. It really is. It's the lack of training and thinking that you can just figure this out and somehow magically one day everything's going to turn around. That's the biggest risk. And I know for me, when I was, my first year of trading, yeah, I was sitting there trying to, train myself, learn it on my own, or, from my broker who didn't really care. And it's like, yeah, I'm learning from somebody that doesn't know how to trade because I didn't know. And my broker, again, he didn't care. So I was my own limitation. I didn't know what I didn't know. And I didn't, I couldn't see what I couldn't see. I didn't know what my blind spots were and the gaps in my training. I didn't know that there were actually skill sets that you needed for this. I mean, it looks simple enough, looks straightforward enough, right? Get a strategy, execute the strategy. No. And the whole notion of, all you need is a strategy and get your psychology right, figure out your mommy daddy issues and you'll instantly become a consistently profitable trader. You're still missing the skill set. So if you've been at this for a while and, you find that, yes, it's challenging, it's more challenging than it should be to make consistent profits, understand it's probably the skills that you haven't acquired yet is the reason that it's difficult and that you're not seeing those consistent profits. And so if you'd like some help with it, swing by Inside Out Trading. I got free resources there to help you, gain the perspectives and some insights into what you're missing, help you figure out, what it is, what you're missing, and what you need to fill those gaps so that, yes, now you can come to this occupation and you do have a solid handle on it. You can trade consistently and comfortably, not fighting your emotions. Like I said, no more challenging than any other job. And that's really how it should be as far, from an emotional standpoint. So anyway, I hope this has been helpful. If it has, give me a like down below, subscribe to my channel. And so you get notified when I publish these videos every week and also my podcast. But, and also, if you have friends that trade, go and share it with them as well. You want to see them succeed. And so share it with your friends. Anyway, again, I hope this has been helpful. Oh, and real important. One of the first things you got to do if you're wanting to, change, maybe, how things been going isn't so great. First thing you got to do is break the cycle, interrupt what the pattern that's been established. Swing by InsideOutTrading.com, pick up a copy of Break the Cycle. It's a list of things, 10 things that you can do within 20 minutes, actually 19, to help break the cycle of, making money and losing money. So yeah, swing by Inside Out Trading, pick up a free copy of Break the Cycle. Anyway, again, I hope this has been helpful. Share it with your friends. Give me a like and a subscribe down below. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.